everybody can see me? We're good? Jamie?
Looks good. We got sharp video.
All right, excellent. Well, welcome everybody. I'm glad that you're all here today. We have a whole bunch of folks. We actually have over 300 people that are registered for this today, so it should be an interesting program. Love to open it up and have it work. So we're going to get right into it and get us going. And I'm Dave Lowe. I'm the CEO of isiFederal. For those of you who have never been here before, this is a new format. And before I get any further, from what I understand, we had a little difficulty in understanding what today really is. So today really is Wednesday, May 20th. And so we apologize for the communication snafus there. And we appreciate the fact that you all are here today. And with us we have Jamie Zell. You saw my glamour shot. This is Jamie's glamour shot. So,
that's exactly right. Complete with a wood backdrop. You got to love that. I know you like that picture, Dave.
That's right. So
I like to keep using it.
Yeah. So we love this one, and we love the fact that that we're here, and just wanted to make sure that you know. You can also reach out to Revolution Payment Systems. Sean, I don't know if Sean's going to join us today or not. He's the finest dressed guy of everybody that's ever around here with his glamour shots. We appreciate him. But if you're doing anything with credit cards, check these guys out, because guess what? It's bottom line dollars that you're leaving on the table if you are not effectively processing your credit cards and if you use them, right? So just want to make sure you know about them. The other folks that are sponsors for this, and this is brand new, quickfuse.com helps to get your information from GSA eBuy and actually notifies you via email with attachments. It is so cool. We actually helped develop this one and are in the process of launching it as we speak, as a matter of fact. So check those guys out at quickfuse.com. If you're using GSA eBuy, it'll help you in that aspect. Quick disclaimer, we do have folks that come in from time to time from the government and in different places. This is not a place where we're doing any endorsements or anything like that. We just want to create a forum for free flow of information. So if you're from the government, feel free, because guess what? It's for informational purposes only. It's not an endorsement of us or anybody else that's here, because there's a whole bunch of companies that are here. About this webinar, we want to talk a little bit about I just mentioned Real Dialogue, but we're talking about obstacles in getting federal sales. If it was fast, easy, and cheap, everybody'd be able to do it, right? So what we're doing is we're creating the way to look at successful tactics, successful strategies for you to be able to penetrate the federal space. And we're going to show us off a little bit with isiFederal, since this is free. And if you're worried if it's worth it, just remember how much you paid. So there you go. So this is a new format. What you see me here, and I think most of you see me pointing to the presentation on this side, and but some of you I'm underneath, and some of you, who knows? But if I'm pointing over here at the presentation, I'm looking over here, I'm referencing the presentation. So hopefully that's where the presentation is. And included with this, we have a worksheet, and I believe, hold on one second, that I can put this into the chat over here and paste that, and boom, everybody should have a copy of that. So in the chat, so you can download this. So open that panel on the right hand side, and you can find that chat window. The other thing that I want you to do is go ahead and download that. But if you have any questions throughout the process, go ahead and fill out any information that you want over in that panel. And also, if there's a number there, if you call it on a phone, make sure you type in your PIN so that we can unmute you, because we love to have the back and forth conversations, and I really appreciate you guys being involved. In fact, go ahead and open that up and tell us why you're here today. A lot of folks told us before as you were coming in why you're here today, but open it up and we'll see. And we have a bunch of folks that are here today, and we'll get to that in just a minute as a review. Real high-level overview of isiFederal. We help folks penetrate the federal business space. We do it with business development. We help you understand the marketplace, help you plan for it, and then help you capture the federal business. That's what it's all about, right? So what we want to do is help you in that, and we do that. We start the process. A lot of times we start with getting you a GSA schedule, and we provide those services. And Jamie, you are here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about our GSA schedule development. Everybody here, almost everybody here has a GSA schedule, so they've been through it. So tell us about the management and maintenance.
Well, once you have your GSA schedule and you know that the initial term life cycle is 5 years and obviously renewable 3 times to give you a total time life cycle of 20 years with your GSA schedule, once you have your schedule, then comes the reference of maintaining the schedule and living with the schedule and making sure the schedule stays current and correct. A lot of people get their schedule and they kind of say, okay, got it, and it's out of the way, and they set it off, they think we're good, we're golden, and they don't go back to it. And it's important to go back and revisit what your offering is and to look at what your pricing is, and especially if you're offering products, because new products come out, old products go away. It's important to keep your schedule current and correct, and we do offer services to help you do that very thing and to get those kind of tasks off your desk so you can be out there doing the important strategic directions of developing new business. So we do revision processes where we will do economic price adjustments, add new products, delete old products. If you're adding new services, which is common too, as you grow in your life cycle with your schedule, you'll gain new work and you'll be at a point where you're ready to add new labor categories and things like that. Those are all very important components to keeping your schedule current and correct, and also make sure you have the broadest, richest offering available through your GSA schedule, so you don't have to say no when someone says we want to take this through GSA, that you'll be ready to actually process it on your GSA schedule. Not to get too long on that, but I'm certainly available for questions, and we can certainly take that offline, but I'd like to be able to talk with you about that. If you have a schedule that has been out there for a while and not updated, I'd like to be able to help get your schedule current and correct, and other questions too. And a lot of times as you grow, you might need another GSA schedule. We can help you with that too.
That's right. And a lot of times when we're doing new GSA schedules, it's for folks that already have a GSA schedule because they already went through the pain of it first. And I shove all that stuff to Jamie and Jenny, and they work it up. So we really appreciate those folks. We also can help you get additional vehicles. If you're familiar with BPAs and IDIQs, GWACs, all those, a lot of folks know NASA Soup, EFAST. We've helped companies get all of these. So the idea is not just to settle on a single contract, but actually utilizing your GSA schedule and your other contracting vehicles to help you penetrate other areas in the federal space. And these are really powerful tools that you can help develop, you can develop there. As far as what else we do, we provide intelligence in the marketplace, letting you know who buys. If you take a look at these folks here, these are the guys that are buying millions of dollars in a specific market. So it's figuring out what the market looks like for you and identifying the buyers. And if you take a look, again, we have major organizations like the Department of Army as well as the NRC. These can be large and small agencies under the radar folks. So if you take a look, the way we do this is we kind of look at how they bubble to the top, and we see who's buying the most, and we look at your competition to find out who's doing that. Then once we know who these people are, we develop a strategy for going after them. And we have marketing tools to help you get out in front of people, introductions, email campaigns, as well as just your grunt work in being able to follow up with these people on a regular basis. And one of the key tools that we use is an online briefing where we have we market this out to folks and let them be able to see what you guys do on a regular basis and how you tie in with their initiatives, which puts you as a subject matter expert. And another piece that we do is we provide direct representation in DC, because guess what? People buy from people they like, and our job is to help them like you. And we can provide you with that with events and waving your flag, becoming a keynote speaker or a featured speaker at an event where you're in front of key decision makers in the federal space, and providing you with the ability to be that subject matter expert, being in front of folks. And then also stalking decision makers at these events is a really cool way to be able to make sure you get on their radar screen. We have folks in just about every agency that we've sold into. We have in various levels in those agencies. So depending on what you do, chances are we already have some contacts in there, as well as we know how to penetrate that and develop the relationships, even if they're cold. After that, we can do your bid management, doing your bid preparation. Most of the things we do is actually in the review process. What would it be like if you helped somebody fill out standard forms and you gave them your information on their standard form, 1445, right? So you get a standard form and you send it to them and it already has the information. It makes it easy. That's one of their buying motives, of making it easy for them. So we can help you do that as well. And when it comes down to actually penetrating the space, again, helping you understand, plan for, and capture your federal work. So now that we're past what isiFederal does, let's talk about what is actually happening out there in the marketplace. The numbers that matter most are 133 and 498. If you know what those numbers are, pop them in. If you've been here before, you know where I'm going. But if you haven't, what are these numbers? These numbers could be, you can choose, right? Are these the number of A-Rod's, number of suspended days? I couldn't resist. I'm an Oriole fan, and this is why you guys the Yankees took it to us a couple days ago. So anyway, or are they Manny Machado's April and May average, or are they the number of days left in 2015 and 2016? Well, of course, that's why we're here today, because this is the time for the fiscal year spending, and it's just about to kick off and really get racing. In the last quarter of the year, you can take a look at these spikes is what happens. Each one of these is September. And that's why we want to focus and pay attention to everything that's happening right now so that we can set ourselves up for September spending, because there's spikes almost every time in every industry. So as we look at this, there's $250 billion. More than just about half of what's going to get spent is going to get spent in the next 133 days. So knowing that, how can we get ourselves positioned for this? Now, if you're not positioned for it, guess what? You're 7 months behind your competition, at least. And sometimes you may be 5 years behind your competition because they've been actually in there working it over and over and over again, and they already have the relationship. So with that, why are you here today? Pop open that right-hand side and give us an idea of why you're here. Jamie, you can collect the rest of those, and we'll talk about those in a minute. And real quick, some of the folks, as you signed up, you got into this. So why are you here today? PJ says, any information on how we can be more aggressive in getting work under our GSA schedule will be much appreciated. You're going to love this, because we're not going to be talking about being reactive. We're going to talk about being proactive and getting aggressive and going after this stuff. Great stuff, PJ. Thanks for being here. Dustin says, if I want a free gift, well, we might actually do that for you today. Scott Cooper, learn best practices. Appreciate that. William Ross from NetVision 360. The agenda supported our efforts to promote GSA within our existing client network. Love it. So looking at how you already have relationships, being able to continue to penetrate that. Love that. Learn how to win some contracts, says Jan. Reach more potential buyers. Great. Love it. Brian, finding winnable opportunities. Here's a key thing. Are all the opportunities winnable that you see on eBuy and FBO? I don't think so. So how do you develop winnable opportunities? We're actually going to be talking about that, Brian. Thanks for being here. Christina, learn how to build relationships with program officers to gain key intel on and influence upcoming education related opportunities. Positively perfect, Christina. You're in the right spot, because guess what? If you're not doing that, somebody else is, right? So somebody else is already influencing that and getting the intel so that you can actually get there. Tim, getting ahead of the RFP. Perfect. Gotta love that. Nicole, best webinar if it provides info on strategy for influencing an RFP before it hits FBO. Perfect. Nicole will be talking exactly about that. I'm glad that you're here. Kelly, help get GSA completed. If you're having trouble with that, we can certainly do that as well. Jason, it helped me break into the federal market and provided real insight and not attend the vendor days, right? How many times have you been told, hey, attend the vendor days? Is it bad to attend vendor days? Of course not. But you better know how to leverage those, because you got to make sure that there's key decision makers there. We talked about that last month, as a matter of fact. So we appreciate you being here. Lori, find those agencies that no one markets to, under the radar, right? Making sure that we're finding the stuff that's under the radar. Karen, interested in as much information as possible prior to initiating the first proposal. Absolutely. Making sure you know what what the initiatives are of the agency and making sure that you understand what their buying motives are. Key. Barath, I will get a strategy of how small businesses should target the opportunities without past performance. Love it. Catch 22, right? We're all in the same position. If you can't win a contract unless you have already had a contract. What is that about? Well, being able to bypass that, being able to get ahead of that curve. That's great. Appreciate that, Barath. Get doors open, says Kurt. Appreciate you being here. Develop other contract vehicles. Renee, we're not going to be talking about that today specifically, but we do actually do that, so we'll take that one offline. Sonny, identify a buyer and the chance to bid. That's what we all want, right? Laurel, identify opportunities within our space and learn more about what they're looking for in proposals. Absolutely. Love it. Identifying those winnable opportunities. We're talking a lot about that, Laurel. Any others that you have there, Jamie, that I didn't have from folks that came in?
Yeah, some ones that just popped up live here just a moment ago. Dawn says, I'm here because I'm fairly new to government sales. I want to take advantage of every resource I can.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Dawn. Glad you're here.
And also, Heather, are there any computer programs out there that alerts the vendor that they are no longer in the #1 spot on GSA Advantage on their products?
Cool.
Looking each one through manual searches. I don't know of any utility for being able to meter within the walls of GSA Advantage. That's kind of a database control, and I don't know of any utility for that, just to kind of throw an answer back on that one.
Yeah, but I'd love to talk with you about that, because as I mentioned before, Quick Fuse deals with GSA e-buy, and we're interested in anything that can gain a competitive advantage. And I'm assuming that you're saying that because you're going in with the lowest price and you want to continue to be the lowest price. There's other ways to be able to market to GSA Advantage, though. So some of the marketing tools that we use actually can send them directly to your product on GSA Advantage, so that's one of the things we'd like to talk about. So being
right,
proactive.
We can also talk about briefly offline too, maybe some potential methods to optimize your offering, how it looks on GSA Advantage, and change how it comes up compared to other entries in there.
True. There's optimization tactics there too.
Right. Jen Weaver writes, what's to learn how to market to the federal government.
Excellent.
Sarah, I'm here to learn more about how to get in front of decision makers. We have federal experience, we have GSA schedule, but we are having trouble growing. Perfect place. You're in the right spot, Sarah.
Yeah, great. And we'll talk about some things that you can do practically right here. We'll talk about that today as well. Great. We'll keep some. We'll get. Well, go ahead. One more.
Also, Kurt, getting GSA orders, but how to be proactive to educate them about time for their reactions. I'm thinking we're talking about really is leading there and being proactive in front of them and really driving things, which I think we're going to be touching on some of that, Kurt, with regards to procurement briefings and some other things that we can fold into the equation to make you more subject matter expert and be the go-to guy within your industry.
Absolutely, Kurt. And if we're not answering that question, make sure you get to us, because we do have, in this particular webinar, because we do have that. All right. Here's the poll. You're having trouble selling because. Go ahead and fill that out, and I'll do some things behind the scene here. And Aisha, if you have any other folks that said why they're here, but tell us why you're having a problem here in this. I don't understand the market. I don't know who to call. They won't take my call. They send me to FBO or the Oz the Booze or Office Small Disadvantage, or you don't have the time. And you can pick as many of those as you want. But this gives us a flavor for what's happening. We'll share this poll with you in just a minute. And we'll be providing and probably tailor some of the things that we talk about specifically for this. All right, give you another 10 seconds. You got 10 seconds to get in there and populate your answer. Very, very good. And we have some additional ones popped up as well as questions. So take a look at those, Jamie. So we're closed at 3, 2, 1. If you didn't click, too late. All right. So here are the results for that. So 26, don't understand the market. That's great. We can help you do that. I don't know who to call. That's the key, right? If you don't know who to call, how can you possibly be proactive? If you don't know who to go after, so that's one of the key areas. We'll address that at the end of this. They won't take my call. So once you find out who they are, being able to crack open, and that's some tactics that we can help you with. They send me to FBO, 41%, absolutely, and 18% don't have the time. It's difficult, right? Because there's only 24 hours in the day, and you want to spend a little bit of time eating and a little bit of time sleeping, and not just all your time spending on the federal government. So we appreciate that. Welcome back. Jamie, are we back up? Are we good?
You bet. That's a smooth, correct switch. We are good.
Amazing, amazing. We actually got it back together. We had some problems last week, and it wasn't because of us. As we take these and coming in, 93% need help in business development, and that's why we're here. So one of the ways that we can help you out real quick, go to isiFederal and download the free ebook. And within that are the 12 steps in going through and getting federal work and actually developing additional federal work. And we kind of review these every month we go through a couple of these. We'll talk about getting smart about the market in a little while. And the other one is building relationships with all of the stakeholders. And we'll be kind of honing in on some of those things to be able to help you do that in this particular one. We will be talking about the problems with FBO. This is actually part of a series that I started back in November. It's disrupting the pattern, and I'm so wrapped up with it. I love it so much as far as what it does to your brain to say, what is the pattern that we're in? And if we're in a pattern of not being able to be successful, how do we break that pattern? And how do winners do it? How are the winning companies doing it? So that we can then envelop and incorporate those winning strategies into how we operate. And we continually get smarter and smarter about it. All of us do. If we're doing this on a regular basis and we're selling folks in the federal government, we get smarter and smarter about it. Before we get into this, I'm going to go back to what we did last month. And I kind of mentioned going to events earlier. And we talked about networking. And here's a recap from that last time. We did it for the 10 Commandments of Networking that I did 5 or 6 years ago at a professional conference. And we talked about this in that particular session when I was there. Being prepared, don't be offensive, and really don't be offensive language-wise, but also from the standpoint of don't eat onions and Doritos because I'll burn your hair off. Don't hang out with people you know. Find somebody that you don't know and go introduce yourself. Act successful. Dress up. Dress nice. Look like somebody they want to do business with. First in, last out. If you get there early and you're helping people set up and building relationships there, and you'll be amazed at how many key decision makers are there afterwards that you should meet. Stalking is good. Going after people that are top, so you can do top-down selling. Act as if you're friends already. Treat them like you like each other already. And guess what? You just automatically create this rapport between you two. Listen and learn. Listen with intent to learn about them so that you can do the next step, which is help them. Help them get something. If you can introduce somebody I've introduced people that I don't know to people that I don't know. Crazy, right? But I still get the brownie points for that. And introduce them, walk away. And then come back and circle around. How'd that go with that person? That was great. I appreciate you introducing me. And so the idea is to be able to do these things. And then finally it's about you. And you can ask the question, hey, can I get selfish for a minute? And you'll be amazed at what happens in that time. So you can go back and see that on YouTube if you like. So in this instance, let's review the current pattern. What is the pattern that's happening to you right now? What is happening out there? First of all, if you're new to the government, you're going to hear this. And you're going to say, hey, you got to go to these vendor days. You got to do these things. Let's talk about what that pattern is. First, they say get a GSA schedule. We happen to agree with that. If you can get a GSA schedule, get one because it is a great tool for you to be able to utilize if you're proactive about going to get business. Then they tell you to watch FedBizOpps, right? FBO. They say you got to watch FBO. Okay, we'll talk about that in depth in a few minutes. Monitoring eBuy, good idea because only things that show up on GSA schedules actually get on eBuy, so that's good. Meeting with OSDBU, small business liaisons and folks like that. Those are people that they want you to meet with. and you go to small business matchmaking events, and you're there, and you get an interchange, you give out your capability statement, all that kind of stuff, talk about your wares, and it's a speed dating kind of session, right? And then they tell you to register for the Prime databases. If anybody, how many people we have here? 60 something? We got 50, 60 people here, right? So here's the situation. I want to hear from you if you've gotten one call, if you registered for Prime databases and you've gotten one call, not business, just one call from any of the databases that you've registered in, and I want you to populate that and tell me that you did in the chat over there, and let me know, because I've never, I'm sure there's somebody, but I've never had anybody have that happen after they've registered on that, and that's all they did. So the other thing is your capabilities repository. They say, hey, give us your capabilities, we'll keep it on file, and then when we have something, we'll give you a shout, right? What is the capability statement repository? It's the circular file. That's it, man. It is right there. So this is what happens when we follow this existing current pattern that's set up, because the people that you're talking to in this pattern are not decision makers. So we don't want to ignore it completely, but we're not going to follow that pattern. We are going to follow a pattern that works. We're going to establish a new direction. And if we think about the buyers on what's happening on their side, what are they seeing? What is it that you're up against? You're up against an arena where they already have resources, and plenty of them, by the way, that are successful, that are satisfying their contractual agreements. They're good at what they do. They have existing relationships and existing contract vehicles. Some of those are much better than GSA schedules, your BPAs and IDIQs. They don't want to change for no apparent reason. And again, the relationships are already solid. And they already have people that they like. And it's not you. So, if we're going to crack this, we got to start thinking a little bit differently, don't we? So, first of all, who are they buying from? Who's your competition that they're buying from? And if you're in the facilities maintenance market, you know these people, because this came from facilities intelligence that we did a few years back. And if you know MCOR, I'm certain that you know MCOR and all the rest of the folks on this list. You want to disrupt this pattern if you're in for your industry. You want to disrupt that pattern. You want to inject yourself as one of the key players that winds up bubbling up at the top of this list. So now I want you to grab your worksheet. Open up your panel in the chat. You can download it there. You can print it out. You can fill it out. Or it's a PDF that you can type it in for yourself. The objective here is to kind of be as engaging as we can. This is a new format, so give us some feedback on that. So grab that worksheet, because we're going to start working through that, and that's available in that chat session. So are you familiar with FBO? If you're not familiar with FBO, I'll tell you real quick. FBO is where they send you to say that we put all our stuff on FBO. First of all, is that true? Jamie, is it true that everything goes to FBO?
Absolutely not.
Positively not. If you go to FedBizOpps.gov or FBO.gov, either one is going to get you there. You go there and you can see all the open activity items that are opportunity items that are there, and it may be in the 20 to 30,000 range, and when you get to September, it's at like 40 to 50,000 range as you get there. However, we're going to talk about some of the issues with FBO. First, let's talk about what an opportunity looks like from just an overall view. This is FBO, but opportunities in general. How about that? So the result of a perceived need embodied in a purchase requirement that they feel will provide an adequate solution. And I've put some words in here so that it'll help us to start to reframe our mindset, and we'll get into that first. And the problems that we have with FBO are, one, just like Jamie said, not everything hits FBO. So what doesn't hit FBO? First, anything under $25,000 doesn't have to hit FBO. If you're a small business and you're doing business under $25,000, FBO isn't going to help you at all. Well, not at all, but certainly not very much, because you can't even play there. Your stuff's not even there. A lot of the micro purchases that are happening, $3,000 and under, they don't go there. That's under 25,000, of course. So GSA eBuy does not hit FBO. Any notifications on eBuy fulfills the regulations under the FAR so that it doesn't have to hit FBO. Next, 8A sole source contracts do not necessarily have to hit FBO. They may just say, hey, we have an intent to award. If you've been on FBO, you know what I'm talking about. We have an intent to award this sole source. It's not notified for any other reason. We're just going to tell you that we're awarding it, right? Shortlisted. If you're one of 3 GSA schedule holders, they can pick 3 and just compete it there. And it doesn't even have to hit GSA eBuy for that matter. So that's another place that doesn't show up on FBO. Most simplified acquisitions less than 150,000 don't hit FBO either. IDIQ task orders, BPA calls, GWAC calls, all those. Any task order things that are on an existing contract, that's why BPAs and IDIQs are so valuable to you. Because they may get competed within 5, 10, 15, 20. It may go out to a couple of hundred with FAA fast, but so what? You've already minimized the competition. It's not on FBO, I can tell you that. Reverse auctions like the new GSA reverse auctions and FedBid do not hit FBO either. So the idea is thinking about reframing, because if they're telling you go there, they're telling you to go to a marketplace where it isn't going to work for you, especially if you look at some of the ways. Let's look at the search issues. This alone just drives me nuts as far as the ability to be able to find something that is relevant to you. The opportunities posted in the last 30 days, you can go do a search. Half of them are closed already because they're 14 days, 7 days, maybe 21 days, and they're already closed. But you can't search for anything that's actually open. So that just doesn't make any sense. Another piece is that some of them don't get awarded at all. So if you figure 10%, just 10% gone. And folks that have been in this industry long enough know that you may have already, I was talking to somebody the other day, we packaged it up. We had our proposal packaged ready to go. And it was ready to go out in the mail. Oh, they canceled it. And then they put it out differently, which really drives you nuts. So here's another piece. The scope of work has been influenced by the competition. We talked, a couple folks said this earlier. So this is one of the places where we want to make sure that you get to. So when it hits FBO, it's absolutely, positively too late in 80% of the time, probably. So as we're working on these pieces, rule number 1, if you didn't influence the RFP, your competition did. If you take that strategy, if you take that mindset, you're going to start to reframe everything that you look at and how you look at it. Your competition has been there. So their job is to make sure that they're pushing away the competition. Your job is to make sure you get noodled in and then push away the competition, because you don't want any more competitors than you have to. So why this doesn't usually work? First of all, it's reactive. It's a reactive marketplace. It's posted up. By the time it hits there, boom. 80% are a virtual lock for the competition. And we're going to talk about some of what these numbers mean in a minute. 10%, which said that before, never be awarded. 10% of those that are winnable, that are actually open, will have more than 5 competitors. What happens when we have more than 5 competitors, Jamie? What happens when we have more than 5?
When we have more than 5, the waters get pretty muddy, actually, as a general reference stepping into that.
So, and that's where, as we, hold on one sec. As we work through this, if you have more than 5 competitors, your margins start to get squeezed. The muddy waters squeeze margins, right? So there you go. This results total winnable opportunities that are actually winnable. Let's talk about what that means in a minute. But if you think about this, 7,500 across all industries. Now, you got to be pretty good to be able to find those. And what usually happens is you bid a few and then you're not even paying attention anymore because you're disenfranchised in it. Right? So we want to disrupt this pattern too. We want to get away from utilizing this as our strategy for response and get away from that. Now we're going to talk about winnable opportunities. What makes a winnable opportunity? If you have some comments on this, I definitely want to hear your winnable opportunity stories. First, before we do though, we're going to start to adjust our mindsets and get you into a place. So grab that worksheet because we're going to start plugging these pieces together. First thing is, changing from an opportunity mindset to a people mindset. And my question to you is, where do opportunities come from? Let's talk about what opportunities are. The result of a perceived need embodied in a purchase requirement that they feel will provide an adequate solution. So we're going to break that down in just a minute. Opportunities come from what? Are they vaporized out of thin air? I mean, what are they? They come from people. Opportunities come from people. And what do we know about people? The people that we're after is people buy from people they like. Does this change in the government? Jamie, does this change in the government?
Absolutely not. It's the same through every single industry. Even yourself as a consumer, and you're out there maybe looking to buy a new big screen TV and you're stopping at 3 different places, you're going to gravitate towards the people you make a connection with, the people you like that seem knowledgeable and helpful, the people you want to work with.
The people that you want to work with, people that you like. It doesn't change in the government. So, but they want you to think that it's changed in the government because you have the FAR. The FAR helps protect us from it's trying to protect the taxpayer from problems, right? But the fact of the matter is people are people. And they're still going to buy from people they like. They're definitely not going to buy from you if they don't like you, right? There's no way that's going to happen. They also have buying patterns. And these buying patterns repeat themselves over and over and over again. And if you can identify a buying pattern for why somebody bought one thing, then you have the keys to the kingdom for why they should be buying from you. And the fact of the matter is, the way that you bought a car is the same way that you bought your house, is the same way that you bought your clothes, the same way that you bought your shoes. Everything that you do runs through a buying pattern in your brain. If you've ever heard of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, some of the sciences behind why the brain patterns that we have, absolutely fundamental. It's amazing when you see these patterns and you can identify and expose those patterns. And we'd like to do that too. And everybody has a preference. You have a preference. I have a preference. It doesn't have to be a bad preference. It doesn't have to be a bad preferential treatment. It doesn't have to be anything that's negative. We just do. We have preferences. We profile every single day. And if you're wondering why you can't crack in on making those phone calls, they're profiling you. And they're nailing you as somebody there. Oh, salesperson, whoop, whoop, whoop. Radar goes off. Got to bypass all that. So, if opportunities come from people, winnable opportunities come from who? People who like us. It's just that simple. So that makes our job refocusing from opportunities to people that we need to have like us. Make sense? So again, the current pattern. This is what you're up against. We are all up against this. They have resources that they like, people they like, contracts they like, patterns they're used to, all of these things. Our job is to disrupt that pattern and get into a different type of approach. Disrupting the pattern requires a proactive approach. And by the way, monitoring FBO is not proactive. There's things that you can do that can turn that into a proactive effort. One of the things that you can do is when you see somebody that puts something out for you that looks like you, grab that name and phone number, put it in a database, start tracking those people on a regular basis and make sure that they're absolutely continually going after those guys proactively. If you do that, things will start to change. But monitoring FBO is not a proactive approach. We've developed a winnable opportunity matrix. We did this several years ago. And the objective here is to get us to a place where, I'm going to try to do this. This is kind of a unique thing for me here. I'm going to try to say, whoop. All right, if you can see my screen with my arrow, I can't make it as big as I did the other day because we're doing it a little bit different. But this opportunity matrix, we want to be in the green. The objective is to get ourselves in the green. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what that opportunity matrix looks like in just a minute. So let's break this down a little bit. So first we have a perceived need. If we have a perceived need, now I say perceived. Other people say, well, it's just a need. It's a perceived need because it'll help you focus on something. What is it that they're seeing that they would need to fill? You need to look through their eyes. Look at the perception from their standpoint, not yours. It's not about what you offer. It's about what they think they need. And oftentimes we want to pitch them all. We're the greatest things in sliced bread, and anything you buy, if you buy from anybody else, you're an idiot. Well, guess what? You're going to lose because you're missing their perceived need. So their perceived need embodied in a purchase requirement. So it turns out into a requirement that gets put out as an opportunity that they feel this is the solution that I want. Good grief. Hold on one second, guys. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Jeez. It's amazing when things happen automatically. My apology. Good grief. All right. I think we're back. I think we're back on. All right. So the solution is what they think the solution needs to be, not the solution that you necessarily think it should be. So that's another piece. So when we're talking about, here's where we're getting the rubber hitting the road. Finding a perceived need, there's two different ways. There's two different things about this. One is going to be finding a perceived need, and the other one is going to be creating. We'll talk about that in a minute. That's when it gets fun. You need to identify the desired outcomes. What are they looking to accomplish? A lot of this you can find out from the agency initiatives that are being driven down, sometimes from the President of the United States, sometimes from Congress, sometimes from stuff happening from their agency because they get the VA on television and problems that they have in different areas. You can talk to people and you can gather information from personal conversations. That's my favorite because you can actually look at somebody in the eye and see what's really their pain point, right? Similar agency missions, you may be able to look and say, okay, if this agency does it and they have the same fundamental agency focus or agency deliverable, then you may be able to apply this here. We do this with one of our clients, a CPA firm, grant audits. There's a lot of agencies that do grant audits. So we look for the agencies that have a similar mission and similar deliverables. The other thing that I like to do is look for feeders. And feeders can happen in a linear fashion where you have, let's say you're building a building. Well, if you're building a building, you're going to have a GC, right? So you want to build that building. Well, before that, you have an architect and engineer. And before that, you have permitting. And before that, you have some surveying and some NEPA studies and different things that happen before that. So if you're paying attention to the purchasing patterns before it hits, then you're getting ahead and being proactive and getting ahead of that RFP because you know that it's coming down the pipe when somebody else doesn't. And that will go back to the winnable opportunity matrix, and you'll start to see how that makes a difference. Some of these are also tangential. Let's say this is your core. This is where you're focused. And maybe there's other things that happen. Maybe if they buy this system, you know that there's something that touches your world. And here's classic. Let's say they buy that system and there's an issue with that system. So you know if they buy that, then there's a problem with the printing functionality. If they're going to the cloud, then they can't print locally. So you might have a solution for that. So there's many, many different ways for you to be able to determine what's coming before. If you take your mind out of just reactive and go after what happens before what you do that. So start processing that a little bit different. Next, we're going to be talking about creating a perceived need. Now, this is a longer sales cycle. Why? Because first, you got to educate them that there is a need. They may not even know there's a problem yet. And then, once you do that, you can help them define the problem and explain that 2-year-old question. How many times does a 2-year-old come up? Why? Why, Dad? Why is the sky blue? Why is the grass green? Right? Just answer the question, why? And it may be able to give them improvement on their current situation, or it may just be, hey, this is discontinued. You no longer have the ability to do that anymore. You don't have, you got to upgrade your Windows, right? XP's gone. Support for XP's gone. You got to be able to do that. So helping them identify the pain points. And some of these will be things that they can see right away. And some of these you can float out there and say, we don't even know some of these because you haven't addressed these issues yet. Once you get into it and get in the sandbox and start stirring up the sand, you'll be able to find what's in there. So the impact on the agency and impact on them personally as well, you'll be amazed if you start to look in their eyes and you can see from their standpoint some of the issues that they're up against. The biggest thing is identify and associate this with the cost and the impact, because if you don't get buy-in on the impact, you're going to have a problem in being able to provide your solution. They're not going to understand what your value is, right? So definitely get buy-in on the impact. Now we'll talk about creating a requirement. This was a need first. Now we're creating a requirement. And the biggest thing I want you to know is that this happens every single day. That we are out there, you, me, others out there, capable of doing this if we understand what their need is, walk in their shoes for a little bit, get in their head. And I know sometimes it's difficult because sometimes they're not thinking straight, according to us. They're not clear thinkers. Help them. You can give them a sample scope of work. How many of you have ever done this? Just supplied them a sample scope of work. If you haven't, you should be. You ought to have several. You ought to have several that look really, really good for you and start to put people aside. The way that you can do this, provide your certifications or provide not yours, but the certification that they should be looking for. How do you know that you have a really good commissioning agent for building your building? How do you know? What do the certs look like? Right? And also, what other exclusive qualifications do you have that can be put into a sample scope of work to say, these are some of the qualifications that you're looking for? Years of experience. How often do we see years of experience, past performance, certifications in the RFPs? We see it all the time. Why? Because we're putting it in there. The competition is putting it in there to push you away. So why can't we do it? We are. We should. And that's one. And then the other, think about them from the buying standpoint. And if you don't think the contracting officers are important, I can tell you, I've been shot by contracting officers on multi-million-dollar proposals that I helped to craft the scope of work. How did I do that? I did it because I got pompous about it, saying nobody can touch me. Well, guess what? I didn't know the contracting officer. And pow. That was the end of that. And that's still smarts. So understand their preferred vehicle, talking to your contracting officer, help them develop the standard forms. Again, there's a couple dozen standard forms. If you know what standard forms they prefer, the ones that come out on GSA eBuy, or the ones that they put out on FBO, or the ones that you've seen in different places when they put out some kind of a requirement, that's what you want to kind of gravitate towards and help them. And you can fill those out. Say, hey, John, this is how it looks. And that helps them. So, this getting back. Uh-oh. Did we lose something?
Yep. PowerPoint panel. We got to bring it back up, Dave.
All right, hold on one sec.
You know, we keep seeing a common question up here. Got about 60 people in today's webinar. Will we be able to see this later? The answer is yes. We actually have a YouTube channel out there, and we record and save and be able to put things back out there so you can review it again later, both the content and the information and the details. So for the folks that are asking about that, absolutely want to look for isiFederal out there on YouTube. We have our own channel, and we put these programs out there so you can review them again and also be able to share them with your team.
All right, cool. Keep talking, man. Keep stalling for me.
So let's see. I was
answer some other questions, man.
I was just looking back through. Had a couple other questions I didn't get to earlier. Let's see here. We only win 1 of 20 or more proposals we submit. It's rare for us to get the buyer to tell us who won and what they want it for. You know, that's true, and a lot of times they don't want to necessarily give that up, but once it's been spent and you've lost the business, that kind of goes to a shotgun approach. We talk with a lot of companies that do a shotgun approach in doing bid proposals and putting bids out there, and if you took one extra step to maybe insert yourself, and again, you want to go after as much business as you can, but not necessarily a higher volume, but a higher quality of business you go after, maybe a better way to do that. And I think it's a smarter approach. The shotgun approach does work to a certain degree, but I think you can get a higher win ratio by getting involved just a little bit deeper, even with a couple of questions to the buyer that may seem mundane, but you're at least inserting yourself and showing that you care, and you're also introducing yourself, so you're in that equation one layer deeper.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Are we back up now?
Yep, we sure are. We're back on the matrix, the winnable matrix.
And the idea here's a situation where when we're working on this, and Jamie, you actually hit on a couple of these things in talking to the folks. We can start to understand some of the components before they actually hit the street. So if you take a look at the days that you know before, so if you know 60 days plus, you have some pretty good ideas of what they're after before it hits the street. So the objective is to get ahead and get more advanced to this. And what we're talking, if you're already the incumbent, you're already 60 days plus ahead of the curve, right? If your contract size is in the sweet spot, if it's in your budget, and you know that it's funded, if you set the budget, that's a beautiful thing. Many times they'll ask, "Hey, how much is this going to cost me?" It's probably $550,000 is what we would estimate, and that's the budget that gets set. Did you set the budget, and did the budget get funded? Because if the budget's not funded, they put it out and it could vaporize, right? Now here's where you get into the sample scope of work match. Did you have an influence on that, and did they take some of your information and incorporate it? Your certifications, the things that you anticipated would be good. And the other part is, what are the number of competitors? Is it justified sole source for you? If it is, you're in the green for sure, right? If you're an 8A firm and you have it sole source justified, beautiful. Is it leaning towards you, towards sole source? And then where are you with the rest of the competition? I don't have a problem with up to 5. Up to 5, I'm okay. Some people it's 3. Some people they just want, they want a 50-50 chance with 2. I'm okay with 5 because I know that if we propose right, if we wind up with a professional proposal, a lot of times we can win in those 5, and we'll get better than our 20% share. But to Jamie's point, how many was it? 1 in how many, Jamie?
1 in 20 or more.
1 in 20 or more. This is how you get away from all that, and it revolves around the ability for you to effectively to get coverage on these folks over here. If you haven't read Strategic Selling by Miller Hyman, read it. It's a great read, and it'll help you in understanding the different segments and the different types of buyers. So if you look at your contracting officer, do you know your contracting officer? Do you know your program manager? Do you know the technical representative? Do you have coverage from the political appointees and the administrators within the agency? These are the places. You don't always have to have those, but if you don't know one of those people, you got to flag them as red, because they could be, you get shot by a bullet you can't even see. So the idea is to say, who are these folks? And you don't have to have them as being your best friend since kindergarten. You just got to make sure that they're not favoring your competition. Or if they are, you need to know that they are, so that you know how to position yourself as your key differentiators from your competition. Is that resonating with you? The difference between being reactive and throwing stuff up against the wall and going after these people so that you can find the ones that matter most to you. If you know who these people are, then you can start to develop the relationships and cover them. If you don't, then you're up against an incumbent that may have been in there for 10 years. How can you possibly compete against that? And why should you? Why should you even bid on that? So the idea is change your approach. And being proactive and analyzing the requirements first. Ask these questions on every single thing you go after. If there's a questions and answers, ask it. Is it new or is it recompete? If it's a recompete, who was it? When was it? And how much was that contract for? Is this valuable information? Doggone tootin'. It's essential for you to be able to determine, 1, can you compete? 2, should you compete? And is there any information in there that really makes sense? First, if it's a, think about this. Usually if there's a long-term requirement, it's in 1-year increments with extensions, right? 1-year extensions. If they're recompeting it, Jamie, if they're recompeting this at year 3, what does that tell you about the incumbent?
That they're not satisfied with what they're getting. If they're recompeting it, that they're not happy with their equation, with their solution that was presented to them.
That's exactly right. So if that's the case, should you bid? Darn tootin', you should bid. So, and if they are an incumbent, are they eligible? And if you're sitting in front of people and you're talking about this and you know about an RFP that's coming up beforehand and you're talking to them, you can see in their face whether they're satisfied and whether those people will be eligible. And I've had contracting officers say to me, in order for those folks to compete, the five on the IDIQ, there's a couple, but in order for some of them, they're going to need a dramatic improvement. And what they're saying is, we're not picking 3 of those 5. So, in the scope of work, we talked about this before, looking for the bend. Who does it favor? Who has the certifications? Who has the capabilities? Who's been feeding this with the information so that who has the past performance in that agency? And by the way, it goes past performance in that agency, past performance in the mother agency or the whole agency, say it's Department of Transportation, FAA, you're in FAA. Who has experience in FAA? Who has experience in Department of Transportation? Who has experience in the federal government? Who has experience in government? And who has experience? So if you're wondering whether or not your past performance is getting graded properly, or that's just the bend that they have. And what is the grading mechanism? Is it laid out? What's the rating for price versus the rating for past performance? What's the rating for your technical proposal versus your price? All those things. A lot of times you read them. If it's a value-based proposition, love that better. Then how are they going to do it? And then how many people are going to win as well? So what's the best way for you to drive yourself into the green? If you want to get into the green and getting ahead of these RFPs, right? If you want to get yourself ahead of the RFPs, and if you're not the incumbent, but make sure you're hitting the right thing, finding the budget, finding the key decision makers, how do you do this? We'll get into that in just a second. Questions? Any other questions? I know we're getting close on time, and I want to be respectful of the time, so I'm not going to spend too much time.
Let me put this one up here, Dave. What's the best thing I can do in the next 33 days to position my company best for the last 100 days of fiscal year 2015?
Who said that?
That was from Anna Hurwitz.
Anna, make sure you're unmuted, that you keyed in. I'll unmute you in a minute because I got you beat, because I can tell you what to do in the next 30 days. We're coming up on that exactly. Some real quick questions. Should I respond to sources sought? Yes, I would respond to all sources sought. How can I find out what the budget number is? Jamie, what's the best way to find out what the budget number is?
Come right out and ask them.
That's it. I have an RFP with requirements, but we have a better solution. How can I get my point across? Great question, big problem. Answer what they're asking for. If you don't answer what they're asking for, then they're going to say you can't read. You don't understand my needs. That's worse than having a better solution. If you don't understand their need, they're not going to listen to your better solution. If you can illustrate that you understand their need and then say, hey, would you like an additional proposal on some recommendations? If they say no, don't send it to them. Answer what they ask for. If they say yes, then get a separate proposal and say this is an unsolicited proposal on an addendum to that one. Any other questions? We will get to those in a minute. I want to be really conscious. We're really running out of time because of some of the technical difficulties I've had. So, the biggest problem with being reactive for you, what is the impact on your agency? Write this down on your agency, on your company, for being reactive. Somebody said it earlier, 1 in 20, 1 in 30. That's impact. What is the impact? You're cranking out proposals that you're not winning. You're burning resources. You're draining your resources on proposals that you cannot win. And you have to be able to identify the ones that you can at least have a chance. And the fact of the matter is you're losing business. How much business are you losing? The greatest question that you have is, where are you on your GSA schedule? And how much of your GSA schedule is overall your total federal sales. Because your GSA schedule usually winds up being 20-25% of your overall federal sales. Why? Because sometimes they'll use your GSA number and do a BPA, and you get $1 million BPA, and that's just that agency. And sometimes there's other mechanisms. So the idea is, how much are you losing, and what is the impact of that on your agency? On your company. So what's the best way to be proactive? First, decide. Number one, I need to be proactive. I need to get ahead of these RFPs. I need to get ahead and get to know these people that need to like me. I need to identify the fact that I don't know any of these folks. And I better get in the process of doing this because my competition is already embedded. And they know every one of these folks. And if they don't, they're making mistakes, and that puts them at risk, by the way. So to win federal contracts, to be proactive, number one, find the right people that are buying what you sell. There's 85,000 buyers. Which ones make the most sense for you? Then, once you know who they are, develop a proactive plan and go get them to like you. Go after them. Be proactive in going after them. Don't wait for something to hit eBuy. Don't wait for something to hit FedBizOpps. Don't wait for something to hit FedBid. Eliminate that. Go around that and give them another option to purchase. Give them a better option to purchase. Give them one of 3 people that they can go to and trust. And that'll be a win for you. So, where are your winnable opportunities, and what are they again? They come from people who like us. So depending on how many people like you will depend on how many opportunities you get that are winnable. Make sense? So we can help you do that. Go to isiFederal and you can see the folks that we do. Speaking of which, finding those people, critical. Right now couldn't be a more important time for 2 reasons. Because there's 2 Septembers in the next 18 months. And if you want to make inroads in the next 18 months, this is how you do it. You find the people. Normally it's $4,500, $39.95. Takes us 3 weeks to do, to distill your market for you, to find the people that you need to be going after, and create an action plan to do that. And if you're wondering whether or not you have this, you can look at William Scotsman. It's the best intelligence we have, 100% in the market. And if you think you have this, you don't. This is coming from our clients. We find things that you simply can't find on your own. I can't tell you any more clearly than that. We've been doing this for 5.5 years, looking at the market differently and helping to disrupt that pattern. So we can help you be proactive, find the right people, develop that action plan, and get them to like you. So what is it that you need from us in the next 30 days? And I'm going to launch this poll. If you don't need us in the next 30 days, that's fine. Come back in 30 days and we'll be here. We'll help you. But in the next 30 days, what could you use our help with the most? What could we do for you that would help you the most? And it could be that you need help with GSA schedule issues, help finding people who are buying what you sell, market your company to federal buyers, and get meetings with key decision makers, or you need us to take up your stuff. By the way, I have an identity crisis every day I wake up because I don't know who I'm. When I go into a meeting, I got cards, my name on your cards, and our folks' names on your cards. The objective is for us to build a relationship for you, not for me at isiFederal. Every once in a while I play that card, but most of the time I'm leading and I'm following a pattern for you. Because if we find out who's buying what you sell, and we can get to them and get them to like you, that helps you get to where you want to go. So a lot of folks need help with marketing. A lot of good responses, and we will reach out to you and be able to help you with those things. In the meantime, I close that poll. We back on, Jamie?
Yep, we sure are. Things are good.
Super. We have $250 billion in the next 133 days, and I love the fact that somebody called it out. They got 33 days before you get to the next 100. So I love that fact. And within that, remember, $780 billion in the next 498. So let's go get some of this. Let's get out there and get in front of this. If you need help with schedule stuff, great. Need another GSA, fine. We'll do all that stuff. Other vehicles, better strategy for being able to penetrate the market, representation, or bid preparation. Just reach out to us. We'll be glad to help you on any of those items and get you out in front of those. You can catch us on YouTube. This actual presentation, we are hoping that we can get it up there on YouTube. We did it last week, and we're going to do it again. And we had a dickens of a time with some of the recordings. So the next one in this webinar series, GSA contract provisions and management. Jamie's going to be taking that one alone. He's going to be flying solo because my daughter's going to be getting married on a Tuesday to some crazy Army guy who's airborne. So, Lord have mercy. Pray for me for that one because I need everything I can get. But join Jamie for that one. In the meantime, reach out to Revolution Payment Systems if you're using credit cards. Check out quickfuse.com if you're doing anything on eBuy. If you're not, you're missing stuff, and this can help you not miss stuff because that's why I built it and got it done, because I was missing things, and people pay us to not miss things, right? So that's why we do it. And thanks for joining us, and my apologies for going over a little bit, but really appreciate you guys being here. Join us next month for Jamie's. If you have any other additional questions, feel free to shoot me a question. Jamie's phone number, Sean's information there if you need information on Revolution Payment Systems. Thanks again. Really appreciate it. And guess what? We have a chance for a Triple Crown winner, don't we? So hopefully we can see something special happen that hasn't happened for decades. So my best to everyone. Thanks again for joining us.